Doing today?
I'm doing. How are you doing?
Oh, I had a weekend where I freaking went to a freaking metal show, and I went to a Lace and Leather night at the Crucible. And this kind of goes with the topic. Yeah, no, get this. I met a freaking Lutheran pastor who's also a Freemason, who had a hookah with him the whole time. The guy brought his own hookah.
Y'all smoked a hookah too? Dude!
Well, did I ever tell you that 3 of my roommates were Hindu, and we had hookahs for like 2 years when I was living with them?
No.
Yeah, I never told you that. My Indian roommates were huge potheads, and they had a huge hookah thing they brought with them from India.
Holy crap, that's awesome.
There's even a hookah lounge in the outskirts of Madison, by the way.
Yeah, I've been there once.
Yeah, it's good. You know, it's a lot of... That, I think, is a healthy replacement for, like, cigarettes. You know, taking it once in a while, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, we're talking about Goths. So this is going to be a conversation about the Goth counterculture online and in the IRL. And before we start this conversation, where do you picture Goth at, and how do you relate to the subculture and all that crap? I know you're not a goth, but you are definitely a metalhead.
Not a goth, metalhead. My wife is more metalhead. But I mean, we're talking Miss May I, Parkway Drive.
About that out-of-stock aircraft carrier docked in Night City?
Friggin'. Jeez, the list goes on. I suck at band names.
Yeah.
I guess Burns Red.
Nice.
So
yeah. Metalhead.
Yeah, Metalhead. Like, I went to when August Burns Red did their 20th tour.
Okay.
And they hit up Minneapolis. I went there.
I'm more of a pagan. Awesome. I'm more of a pagan metalhead myself. You know, like the pagan black metal, like Dogma, Powerwolf, freaking Dogma, Powerwolf, like a lot of like metal bands that look like something out of 40K. If you get that reference, I'm also a huge Warhammer nerd, and I consider myself a mix of a goth and metalhead. You know. I do a lot of dark fantasy. I do LARPing, Ren fairs. I'm really into dark role-playing games, dark fantasy. I go to the Crucible, which is a Gotham nightclub in Madison. If no one is familiar with it, it's great. Really great community, really fun. You know, I'm just, in general, I kind of like, I'm a fancy goth, if you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, I can make sense of that. Yeah,
and I have friends who are an emo, metalhead, occultist, you name it. I got all sorts of freaky friends in this fucking college town. All sorts of freaks. I prefer their company over the Jesus freaks any day of the fucking week. I mean, this is where I stand as an alternative person. I like the music, the scene, and dark fantasy. That's where I'm at. So, when you think of goth, do you think... What comes to your mind, like, as a culture? What comes to your mind as a culture, whether it be metalheads, goth, or emo?
So, the 3 of those fall under, you know, like the old category of the world. Goth specifically, when I think about goth, I don't think about goth in, like, the early 2000s. I think about goth that was heavily influenced still in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Coming out of 90s. And that would be the same goth movement, the same, I guess, generation of goth, so to speak, that started off as a rebellion against the establishment that was trying to censor rock music because of the conservative religious right.
And D&D. The Satanic Panic was real. It was fucking real. That's what... And I'll say Christian nationalism was actually more a threat then than it is now.
I agree significantly, especially since, like, goth then was all about non-conformity, all about individualism, all about freedom of expression, freedom of speech,
being a freak,
all about not buying into hyper-corporatism and hyper-consumerism.
Yeah. Which, ironically, Hot Topic became a thing down the road, but we don't talk about that, even though I get most of my clothing from that.
Hot Topic and Spencer's was early 2000s, and that's where we see the start of the you can purchase a pre-packaged fashion starter pack, which ends up just aligning you with the HR of the megacorp that you're funding.
You know, there's a term for those people. They're called corpo goths.
Goth.
Yeah. When I think alternative, whether it be metalhead, goth, emo, I think of dark humor, dark art, and vibes of just not giving a fuck and being whoever you want to be. That's what I think when I think goth. And this is something I want to talk to you about, because there's a lot we can talk about this. There has been, I'm sure you're familiar with it, in the last couple of years, there's kind of been a civil war going online between the goth and emo and metalhead community, if you're familiar. And what are you seeing in this civil war, if you can inform people what to look out for?
Okay, so goth originally started off, as we know, as big middle finger to the establishment, right?
Yeah, the Reagan Christian nationalism, yeah.
It started off, we had Reagan, we had Margaret Thatcher, we had hyper-conservative culture, was suppressing individual expression, right?
Yeah.
We'll rage against the machine, fight against the establishment kind of mentality, right?
Yeah.
Apolitical, individualist, encouraged you to think for yourself. Fundamental point there. Thinking for yourself. We forward and ended up, what I saw happen was he changed to the mall goth, which, whatever, you know, they were still the outsiders, the outcasts, the weirdos,
the 90s and 2000s.
People that didn't fit cleanly into traditional society, right?
I was one of them, yeah.
I wasn't goth, I just still stuck on the fringe of society as an outsider for most people.
Yeah, similar.
So,
we're autistic, we get that excuse.
Now what I see when I start looking at goth things is I start seeing things like the fast prepackaged goth kit, which you can purchase online, or the goth checklist that encourages conformity, and the communities that pushed those, that developed those, that funded those, that accepted those, ended up creating the exact opposite thing of why goth started, which was they started pushing ostracization
based on social politics,
forced conformity. If you don't look a certain way, if you don't use this makeup, if you don't listen to this music, you're not goth.
Well, you know what's ironic? I was talking to a goth dancer at the Crucible this past weekend, and they said all that's necessary is wear black and enjoy the music.
Yeah.
That's like all that's required. That's like all that's required. Wear black, like dark shit, and like the music. It's all that's required.
Individual expression.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just wear black and
now,
music, yeah.
Honestly, now we have social media goth. And social media goth is
toxic.
I think really doing a lot of harm to the alt community. Dude.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And this is where we go into a little tangent. You know, the Goths since cancel culture. You want to enlighten people on that one?
Okay, so you actually brought up Danielle. I had heard about him. Originally, I had started kind of as a tongue-in-cheek way of being like, why are you pushing forced conformity?
Yeah.
A lot of unfortunate things have happened. A lot of people have crossed the line with one of the first originators, with Danielle.
Yeah.
Really pushed the point of there's a break in the alt community. You have one side, which is your social media goth, that is pushing that goth is inherently Marxist.
Yeah, then there...
Which also means goth is inherently leftist.
Yeah.
I mean nutcase.
Yeah.
Goth was apolitical. Always has been, always should be.
And you know, I was listening to an interview. I was listening to an interview Danielle made on Facebook, and she was like saying like she founded this movement to get goth back to its core, which is apolitical, open to everyone, regardless of your religion, your politics, your sexuality, your ethnicity, or your gender. She wanted to make it for everyone, and even though even herself is fairly socially left, but she doesn't like all this identity politics shit.
A lot of that's because political identity, the problem that comes in when people use that specifically, is then any difference of opinion is treated as a personal attack.
Right.
Even if it's an objective, fact-based, data-informed and backed opinion.
Yeah, and I've been on the Goth cancel culture Facebook. I'm no longer part of it because, that group was pretty diverse as it was. And you want to involve. I'll let you just talk and explain what you think the movement is doing right and where it started, and we can go from there.
Okay, so for the movement, Goths Against Cancel Culture was pushing against, as we've established, the inherently Marxist, the inherently follow the establishment, the inherently follow the HR, your cog in a wheel.
Yeah.
Social media Goth.
Yeah, the SJWs, keyboard warriors. Very familiar.
Yeah. People that keep causing problems that aren't honestly, like, they need to just stop.
Yeah, and not just the Goth element, but life in general. Those people just need to die out. Yeah. Keep going.
What's ended up creating an irony of conformity.
Yeah. And
being Marxist means that you subscribe to state, you subscribe to establishment. It means that you subscribe to boxes.
Yeah.
You put yourself in the box. Sounds a lot like traditional society, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds like sounds a lot like traditional Catholicism. Sounds a lot like
weird.
Weird. Now I will say there are Goths Against Cancel Culture is just a place for free speech and for people to be goth, emo, or metalhead without political correctness and purity test. And Danielle has been harassed, and several of the people on her Facebook moderators have been attacked by these people, accusing them of protecting predators and terrible people. If you know what I mean by that. People are accusing her, and the people found
saying her name right.
What?
Monte Mander?
Yeah. No, that's Daniel.
Yeah, she coined the phrase that truth isn't afraid of scrutiny.
Yeah, Monte Mander.
It doesn't lie.
Yeah.
Monte Mander.
Yeah.
Is not afraid of scrutiny here. With that being said, what we ended up seeing is now we have hyperconformities.
Yeah.
We have a push towards something that is not Goth. We have a push towards political correctness framed as a form of moral policing online.
Which isn't that the exact opposite of alternative, really? If you think about it?
It is. A violation of freedom of speech.
Which is something that they are...
Fundamentally.
Yeah. I would say collectivism, no matter what it is, sucks.
It does. It doesn't drive growth. It doesn't drive individual expression.
I mean,
it doesn't drive pursuit of people's dreams. It doesn't give people opportunity.
No, it doesn't.
It holds them in one box.
Yeah, my biggest issue with, my history of collectivism, I was in a cult. You're familiar with that?
I am.
Yeah. And I see the same conformity in these communities I saw in that cult I was in. If that makes sense. Collectivism is the death of hope, the death of humanity. And
went to groupthink.
Yeah, it is. And Goths Against Cancel Culture, they're a very diverse group. They have a lot of diverse opinions, more diversity than I think a lot of these leftists have. But what I will say is there are some predatory people on these communities who are using it as a form of and I've talked to people who are harassed by Jesus freaks in these communities, trying to convert them to traditional Catholicism, saying it's got to be Catholic. And yeah, it's kind of annoying at worst, at best, and just predatory at worst. But they're the minority. They're the minority.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I think it's more of an issue of...
What's your take on that one?
I see when you're breaking from conformity, you're trying to be individual and express yourself in an appropriate way, in a way that doesn't harm people, a manner that, yes, people might think is rough, but is accurate and fair, okay, objectively fair, which is neutral. Somebody just expressing their opinion, why they came to it, and then you have somebody coming in and trying to be internet moral police saying you're wrong when you're not.
Yeah.
Goths Against Cancel Culture pushed because cancel culture went from what it originally was trying to be, which was accountability culture.
Yeah.
To now I don't like you because you have a different opinion. Now they claim they reject harmful behavior. They're rejecting freedom of expression and freedom of speech.
Yeah.
I'm going to point this out because this is one key point on that. Using Goths against cancel cultures of protecting pedophiles and predators goes against the data point because the ones that are usually accusing them of doing that are actually the ones supporting the people that are actively doing that.
Yeah. I don't know.
It leans left because we had, and this isn't on the community as a whole, it did get died down. It is still people trying to do it with MAP. MAP is the acronym that was trying to be pushed instead of pedophile for minor attracted person.
Yeah,
they found their way into LGBTQ community. They found their way into alt culture. They're trying to normalize something that should not be normalized.
Yeah, I would say like most people across the board, whether you're left or right, will agree that these people need to be. I would hope that no one excuses this kind of behavior. It really grosses me out that anyone. It's gross when a Catholic priest, the Catholic Church protects it. It's gross when Hollywood protects it. You know what I mean?
Even worse when you have one side that rejects that it happens. One side that is more frustrated because they can't seem to get around the fucking poles that keep getting pulled.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone was doing that.
Priests around the country.
The Boy Scouts was doing it. The fucking rabbis were doing it. It was a thing that was going on in most communities around that time.
It was a thing that was happening.
Yeah. But changing topics, I mean, my thing with Goth is, like, I want it to be for everyone. I like any subculture or game or really cool hobby to be for anyone, you know?
Yeah.
And I've gotten kicked off of Facebook groups for saying, like, things like Catholicism isn't punk, and that you're just trying to, like, come in here and sneak in your ideology down people's throats. I get kicked off for that page for it, and they harass me. Some of them liked that comment, others didn't. And usually I would say you should be welcome to any community as long as you're not a dick. As long as you're not a neo-Nazi, and you know what I mean by that. You know what I mean by that. As long as you're not some fucking anti-woman, anti-LGBT person, I think you should be welcomed in not just Goth communities, but most communities. And if you watch those videos I sent you, I hope you did, the ones with the Goth YouTubers calling out Danielle and the Goths and cancel culture. Did you watch those?
But the summary that was going on from its dad, actually.
Yeah, the videos I sent you. They were comparing conservatives to MAGA and making no distinction and saying if you're conservative, you're racist. Sort of thing. And they say they're just trying to keep their community safe from racist, homophobic people. How do you feel about that one?
Actually, saying something I don't like, you're saying something that's contrary to the opinion I have, I don't like it, and you're wrong, and because I don't like you, you're inherently now a racist and a bigot and transphobic and homophobic, and...
Yeah, and
I don't know.
And once again, I'm not making apologetics. Yeah, and for the record, for people who don't know, I'm a liberal, you're a constitutionalist. I'm the more left-leaning one here, you're the more right-leaning one. But, I'm
the one here who says if there's a right that you don't have to enforce, but you have to keep people from violating, it's a good right to keep. Like freedom of speech.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I guess, my thing is, yeah, the vast majority of people I met who are quote-unquote conservative are not racist, they're not homophobic, they're not misogynistic, they just want common sense. I mean, the coolest people I talk to on the internet are neo-pagan gamers on ESO. And we just talk about Critical Role, D&D, and hunting and the occult when we're playing ESO. Those are the people I tend to be the coolest with online. And social media, where do you stand on it? Do you think social media is making the culture wars in the alternative communities worse or better? And how can people use it for betterment?
Okay. Social media, I guess.
You want to say something?
With Jake Monroe.
Yeah, Jake
Some
Monroe.
people call him friggin' is it Hot Topic Andrew Tate now?
Pretty much, yeah. I liked him at first, but then he went overboard.
Yeah, because he started up and he stood up and argued Goth is not political. It's not.
Yeah, no.
And he hit it, and he tapped into that frustration that's there, especially with individualists, especially with people that grew up through the 80s, 90s. The elder Goths, the first generation, the early second generation Goths.
Yeah.
You know, that watched things go. But then the digital mob came. And he wasn't a monster. He wasn't extreme. He was reasonable at first. And they pushed him so hard, he ended up choosing, and it's happened multiple times to multiple people, choosing to adopt the same hostile rage bait tactics of the manosphere.
Yeah, and the manosphere, I would say, is a reaction to the extreme leftism. That's my hot take.
Yeah,
they both suck. They're both terrible. They both suck. They're both terrible.
Jake Monroe, specifically went from targeting the right problem, which were the gatekeepers in the Goth community, the people that say, if you don't listen to this, you're not Goth. If you don't wear this brand of makeup, you're not Goth. If you don't follow this checklist, you're not Goth.
Yeah, those kind of people.
It shifted because he was attacked so frequently.
He became
bullied digitally frequently.
He said some very misogynistic things, went after women, and said some light racist things. Yeah, I'm familiar.
He got pushed to that. He got pushed to an extreme.
Yeah.
Because of our social media Goth. Because the people that sit there and they gatekeep and they berate, they continue to attack people because they have a difference of opinion. Because they're not thinking in the hive mind or the same group train. They're thinking individually and for themselves.
Yeah.
And that, honestly, that is what Goth is.
Yeah, well, I was say it's the culture, the music.
Listener out there that is Goth, that gets told that they're not Goth because they don't listen to a certain band or because they don't agree with mainstream politics or whatever opinion some group of people decided with.
Yeah, you might get a kick out of this. There's a large movement of Goths, not towards conservatism, but libertarianism. You might enjoy that.
Dude, libertarianism is basically Goth turned into politics.
Yeah, so a lot of Goth Nemos. Actually, one of my favorite Goth animators and YouTubers. You ever heard Foamy the Squirrel? I Will Press. So he's a Goth animator who made anime series based off Invader's Zim with a fucked up little evil squirrel. It was nothing but rants and satire. It's where I get most of my humor from. He's a hardcore libertarian. He hates, and this is the same thing with Daniel. This movement in general, they hate Christian nationalism. They hate all this Jesus freak conformity because a lot of them lived through it, and they find it moralistic and self-righteous as hell. But at the same time, they see the same thing in the woke culture. They see the same thing in political correctness, and they don't like either side, and they just want to be. They're pro art. They're pro freedom of speech. They're pro storytelling. They do a lot of rants about the video game culture. Safe spaces for what I'm trying to communicate with you here. They're very artistic weirdos who just want freedom of speech and basic rights, and not to be told who they should be for themselves.
Goth was originally meant to represent, the way that the alt community was supposed to represent.
Yeah, and Foamy is... The guy who makes Foamy is by no means a conservative, but he definitely is can we stop being so conformist and just practicing this stupid bullshit that gets in the way of being ourselves and being our authentic selves and allowing us to do whatever we want and make the art we want to make? If you know what I mean by that.
I mean, honestly, I think that ties into people living chronically online.
Yeah.
people not maturing. That's not the right word. People not getting out of a high school mindset in regards to social interactions.
Okay. And by the way, this is not an attack on people who are left and happen to be goth. This is an attack on extremism.
This is an attack on the people that sit there and they tell you you're not goth because you disagree with them. Because you don't listen to a certain band or wear certain clothing or buy your shit from Hot Topic.
Or this
because you didn't buy the goth starter kit from X company.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what their political affiliation is. If they're trying to force you into conforming to their idea, they are not goth. You are.
Yeah, that's a fair thing to say.
Be you. Be individual. Do your thing.
And if that means you're...
Don't let them stop you.
And that means you're a trad, traditional, Roman Catholic that listens to metal bands, and you're, wearing, old Gothic clothing from Victorian England, and that works for you, fine. But don't make that someone else's experience, is what I would say. You know what I mean? I'm not a fan of... there are a lot of Christian, fundamentalists in the goth community right now, who are, kind of doing shit online. But, as long as you're not forcing down people's throats, and you're not trying to groom or brainwash, do as thou will, okay? Do as thou will. You know what I mean?
See, of any sort. Especially against the artists in the alt community. Because the artists are the ones that, realistically, they allow us to have a voice a lot more.
Yeah.
They'll reach a lot more people than you or I ever talk to. A lot more people listen to what they say and what they make. When you stop pushing a political orthodoxy, and that's the problem, is orthodoxy, conformity, non-individual thought, non-individual expression.
Yeah, and who's to say...
We should be allowed to make art. We should be allowed to say things. We should be allowed to say things that, true, somebody might not like.
Yeah, that was the Satanic Panic. That was the Satanic Panic. And that was the reaction to D&D, heavy metal, and people living non-traditional lifestyles. And that is actually an American... what the Goths were doing was a more American thing the religious fundamentalist was doing. If you catch my drift.
I mean... Yeah. Just going back to that time frame, back to when it started, you're talking about, some of your early bands that you could describe as goth were, the Bahas and the Cure.
Or Christian Death. Or Christian Death. They're another good one.
I mean, I know I'm going back, but, goth started as a radical political act. It started as something that could have been dangerous for people. That was dangerous for people. And it started because they wanted to express themselves openly, because they were queer. They liked dark things. They were eccentric.
Yeah, same here.
Embraced morbidity.
Yeah.
And vulnerability.
And you know what? I support people to live that kind of life. And you know what? I keep on saying this as a joke. I want to live in America where Ned Flanders can live right next door to a gay couple and a goth pagan witch in the next and get coffee with them and celebrate their birthdays with them. That's my vision of America.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
That was the goal.
Yeah, no. So, what... I guess the next topic we're going to talk about here. What would you say to Goths against cancel culture, and what would you say they should keep doing going forward as a group, or this movement in general? I would say countercultures are always evolving. Nothing stays in static.
I would say Goths against cancel culture should evolve. And I think it should evolve towards effectively pushing against the establishment again.
Yeah.
No longer about going against cancel culture, it's going against political orthodoxy.
And still
going against
orthodoxy.
Suppression of individual expression.
And keep church as state, that's something else I'm passionate about.
Ignoring that issue, because church will always be outside of state in regards to us not being a theocracy. That's why we're a republic. Yeah. We're not a democracy, theocracy, or monarchy.
Yep.
Or one of the other forms of the variety of forms of communism.
Yeah. So you want the cancel culture to evolve and be against political correctness and orthodoxy.
Kind of. Should be going against the mega corporation. It should be going against the corporate lobbying, the communism that we see It should be going against the government. It should be going against a political party that says that if you think differently from us, then you're inherently all of these bad labels and person. And we don't care if you die. Like, honestly, I've been disgusted actually quite a bit with some of the stuff that's come out of the left, especially in the alt community, with celebrating people dying. We're saying that all these kinds of people that are normal people, reasonable people that just want to think for themselves and live a good life, just die.
You know, here's the thing with the far left. They're even targeting like normal liberals and normal center left people. By the way, it's not just like the far right they're going after.
I know.
It's crazy. I would say liberals should work with moderate conservatives and libertarians to fight against extremism on both sides. That's what I would say.
Honestly, at this point, I'd say stop. We honestly, as a culture, need to stop putting politics so much of our freaking identity.
You know, it's kind of cool and kind of fucked up. We're getting closer and closer to the world of cyberpunk, which is really cool because we can be like Johnny Silverhand and blow up Arasaka. But it's also kind of terrifying because the world we're living in. You get what I'm trying to say? The fucking dark humor I'm trying to portray right now?
Yeah.
If you lived in the world of cyberpunk, who would you be? Who would you be? What kind of role would you play as? I can see you being a nomad.
Honestly, that would track. Actually, I did enjoy their quest line a lot more.
I'd be a street kid. No, you know, you might get a kick out of this, and I'll just do this with humor. Last time I played Cyberpunk, I literally we spent 40 minutes role-playing for access to my robotic dick with my lesbian friend Jasper, who was role-playing a lesbian, and we were fighting for the access to my robotic dick because I was a cult leader who OD'd on drugs, and we just spent 40 minutes fighting over my dildo dick for with dice. Now that's goth, okay? That's fucking goth, alright? How do you feel about that?
It's freaking hilarious is what that is.
You want another funny goth role-playing story I can tell you? So we were in a World of Darkness game one time, and what happened was I saved the entire party from a demonic attack in this VR game by being a power bottom to the best PvPer in the game. I saved the party from demons by being a power bottom. And that's just what's goth to me, okay? I'm a gamer goth, alright? So I guess we're going to close down now pretty soon. Are there any things you want to say for people who are goth, or emo, or metal? Any last words of advice you want to give them?
Not necessarily words of advice, but words of encouragement. Express yourselves. Don't be afraid to say something's wrong if it's wrong. Be afraid to say that you don't think the same way that everybody else does.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be an individual. Don't be afraid to think for yourself. Don't be afraid to not like something because you don't like something.
Yeah. And that applies
Yeah. Don't tie politics to your identity.
Yeah.
It only causes mental health issues.
Yeah, true.
It's not beneficial.
Fucking true.
For people that do that, please stop.
And what words would you like to say to the Christian nationalists out there who are saying goths are demonic when you go back in time?
Shut the fuck up. That's what I would say.
Well, thanks for being on the show.
Shut the fuck up.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Till next time, folks, stay sane and have a fun weekend. Peace.